Want to know how to macrame a hammock for your produce and your fruit? Watch today's video. I will show you how. I was beyond tickled and thrilled when a DIY on the house viewer contacted us through Facebook and said, I saw a picture of a little hammock that holds your produce that you can put up under your counter, but I want to know how to make it. Any chance that I would try to make one and show the YouTube community how to do it? So I did. So watch today's video and I will show you how to make a little hammock for your produce. For your fruit hammock, you are going to want to get, this is a 3/8 dowel, so I would say that's probably the smallest one, the smallest size that I would go with. So you need a stick of 3/8 inch dowel, and you're going to cut 2 pieces 9 inches long. And on those pieces, about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch on each end, you need to drill a hole big enough to put your cording through. And then you're going to need 1 piece 18 inches long. No holes on this one. You're also going to need to have a macrame cord, and this is 3mm cord. I order it off of Amazon in a large roll. So you're going to need to cut 11 pieces 100 inches long. So you need to have about 1100 inches of macrame cord. On your one stick, you're going to put 10 of these on one stick, and it's just folding your cord in half, looping it over, and drawing through the ends to put your cording on your stick. I have this hanging on my macrame work board, my project board. You can hang it however. I do have a video on how I made this. The link is down below. The extra cord that is not on here, your 11th cord, set it aside because we are going to use it to go through these holes, and then that will balance your fruit hammock. To make the belly of your fruit hammock, we're going to do square knots. And to make a square knot, I'm going to do 1 row of square knots right up tight against the rod, and then we're going to gap them out, and I'll show you how to do that. But first of all, to do a square knot, you take 2 of your cords, so there's 4 pieces, and you divide them into 3 sections, 1 on the left, 2 in the middle, and 1 on the right. So we're going to take the left one over the 2, the right one over that, stick the right one up in that first hole and draw through your tail. And we're going to pull it up tight. Now we're going to do the left side. We're going to put the left side over the 2, the right side over that, put it through the hole on that side this time, and draw it up tight. So we're going to set that one aside. You're going to take your next 2 cords, and we're going to do a square knot. So I'll tell you one more time. Divide it into the 3. We're going to take the left over, the right over that, the right through the hole, and pull it through. And so if you get distracted or confused on which piece goes next, you can see that this cord goes out of the back of the square knot. The square knot takes 2 steps. So it goes out of the back, so that means that's the one you do next. So we're going to go left, right over that one, and right through the hole. After you have your square knots, I want to spread this out to where this is your hole and here is your hole, and then we'll gap the 3 in between, and we'll hang that on my board here. So now we're going to make our pattern. We're going to ignore the first 2 cords, and we're going to take 2 from the first knot and 2 from the next knot, and we're going to gap it down 1 inch. And the easiest way to make that happen is to take a piece of cardboard and measure 1 inch. Have your corrugation go up and down so it doesn't collapse on you. So have that sitting by, and you do your first step of your square knot, and you draw it up kind of close, put in your cardboard, And now do the second step of your square knot. Pull out your cardboard, set those aside. Now we're going to take the 2 from this knot and the 2 from this knot and do the same thing. Draw it up close, put in your cardboard, and finish your knot. Okay, that's what it looks like after your second row of knots. So now we go back to those first 2 that we set aside on each end. So we're going to take those 2 and the 2 from the first knot and continue with the same rhythm. Do your first row of first step of the knot, put in your cardboard, draw it up, and take out your cardboard. Okay, now you continue that pattern for about 18 inches, and then we will test to make sure that our fruit's going to hang in there nicely, and then we'll take care of these outside rows. But go for about 18 inches, and then we'll come back and test it. I have the hammock part macrameed. I ended up stopping it right at 17 inches. So I'm taking the short dowel, one of the short dowels, have one here. Now we're taking the other 9-inch dowel, and I've put the macrame cord through the hole. And we need to put it through the hole on this end. A trick to make that happen, this is just a little piece of floral wire. Stick it through your hole, bend it in half, stick it through your hole. Your loop will come through on this side, put the tail of your cord through there, and then just pull it through. You might need to use some pliers. Okay, so the big picture of what I just did, this is a single cord, one of your 100-inch cords. I'm running it in the hole of this dowel and in the hole of this dowel. And before I did that, I should have wove it through here. So I'm going to see if I can still weave it through with it in the dowel. So before you put it in the hole, we want to weave it through the edge of your hammock. So I guess that's not so bad. You can put it through the dowel first, but we just want it to go through each of those stitches on the side. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that should work. And we're not tying off the length of that string yet, so just make it a little bit on each edge. So now we are going to fasten off these cords around it. So lay your dowel down, bring the outside cords of the rows over your dowel. So I have 2 under and the outside ones on top of it, and we're just going to do a square knot. And now with those tails, I am going to feed them back through this knot here and have the tails hidden there. So to do that, I'm going to just take a little crochet hook and pull through the tail. So now it might feel like you're getting a little mess, but you're doing good. Just have these 4 cords here. I'm going to cut them to a manageable length. They'll still go shorter, but just so that we can see what's going on. And we're going to do that for the remaining ones, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with these little tails. Hiding tails is always a challenge for me. So I'm going to show you what I came up with. If you have a different solution, I would love to hear it and just comment down below. But what I've done is I've just done little, what I call nooses around the tails. And so just take some of the scrap cording from that you just cut off. And I've already done those. So I'm going to do this one here. Make sure that that cord that we ran through there doesn't get caught in it. Okay, so you just take your cord, lay one end up there, about 2 to 3 inches down, put a loop at that end, hold it with your thumb, and just wrap it around at least 3 or 4 times, kind of tight. There we go. Now this tail goes through that loop that you made and just flop it through. This tail, this end here, the short end, just draw it just enough to have that loop go behind your wraps and then just trim that off. And here's the one. You could have, at one option I was coming up with, not doing the nooses, you could have just cut these nice and short under the knot that you threaded them through, put some Elmer's glue on the ends, maybe some nail polish, something so that they don't fray. And so I'm just gonna go this way though and trim these off. There's a few here that has some fuzzies, and just make it nice and clean. We're getting really close. Okay, at this point, we will need, this is the cord that you ran on that side. We need to tie a knot on this end. Have a tail that's, roughly, it doesn't matter, at least a foot long. And so tie just a knot here. And leave that tail. Then draw your cord to be roughly 14 inches between your dowels and tie another knot on this end. So now we're going to come up at roughly about 5 inches and make a knot there. So I'm going to make a couple inch loop, tie a knot. The 5 inches, it doesn't matter if it gets smaller or bigger too much, but just roughly. So what did I end up with? Yeah, I ended up with about 4.5. Now we take our floral wire again and stick it through the hole and thread through your cord. And we're going to make these even here. And I don't know if it'd be easier to measure it. So that's about 4. Yeah, that's about 4. So if I can keep that from moving, I'm going to tie a knot here. And on this one, I'm just going to tie a knot, one at the bottom so that it can't slide. So let's see. That looks pretty good. So we just have a knot on the bottom there. Thread through this side. So now we come to this end and we're just going to do the same thing with your little wire. So now we're going to match that distance, and that was 14, so we're going to make this one 14. Okay, so this is outside to outside is 15, outside to outside is 15, so that looks pretty good. Going to tie a knot here. So I'm going to tie around this one as well. Okay, we're to our last step. This is where you can make your choice depending on the space you have. The dowel at this point, you can use it, and the knot that I'm going to be putting here will just go over your dowel and you can hang it as needed. You can go without your dowel and hang this directly to a coffee hook or something. So either way, we're going to finish it the same, and I'm going to make these sides even, and that looks pretty close. And on this one, I just need to tie a knot first before we do the loop. Now with just one of them, I am going to make a loop with one of the cords just because I thought 2 cords looked too bulky, and I'm going to put it take that and put it through the center of that knot. And here I want to make sure that that doesn't slip, so I'm going to do 1 knot below it. I'm going to use one of the tails from earlier and going to put a little noose around the bottom of that just so that we don't have fuzzies. Remember, you put your cord up, you loop it down for just a couple inches, pinch it, wrap it around, and I'm just going to wrap it 3 times on this one, stick the tail through, and draw it up. Now we can trim off all of that. That's the cord that we just drew up, and these are the other ones. Okay, time to go put some fruit in it. Okay, we have it all hung up, and it really turned out super cute. I don't know if this is the technical way to make one, so if you have any ideas on how we can change this design, I would love to hear from you. But as always, thank you for watching DIY on the House.